Hello and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is Dave Warburton, and I think this is actually the first time in a while that it's just been the three of us, isn't it? The three original lads on the podcast, Mr. Ian Storey and Mr. James Kendall. How the hell are you both doing? It's going to go chaotic because what I would say is Michelle has brought a lot of order to this podcast. She's brought a lot of order to TCA, to be fair.
Yeah.
And order to our lives in general.
Yeah.
And I've got a feeling that this could go south today. So let's see how it goes. How has your week been? I'm going to start with you because you look like shit today, JK.
Oh, I thought you were talking to yourself again. Well,
Ian,
thank you very much.
He looks terrible today, doesn't he?
What do you mean I look terrible?
Yeah.
You've clearly just got out of bed.
He looks about 13.
You look like you've been beaten.
I mean, I'll take that.
Your hair's flat. What happened to your hair? I mean,
I haven't done my hair yet. That's the thing. You know, I'm here
exactly.
on the podcast.
You've not even made an effort.
Listen, Mr. Dressing Gown, let's not forget where we are here, yeah? Anyway, how has my week been? Thank you for asking, David. It's always lovely to hear from you. My week has been good. We've got some good sign-ups going on, got some good take-ons happening. We've got 5 offers that we're currently negotiating. I think that's one more than your 4 that you just said you had just off air. We are 7 offers that we're dealing with at the moment. So we've got a fair bit going on. We've not had the best sales month, if I'm honest. We're only on about 7 so far for July. But you know, to be fair, with the level of fee that we've got, we're okay. I'm all right with that. To be fair, like I think sometimes you say it to me, Dave. You know, check yourself, because in like 8 years ago, what I've just done this month, and I think it's not a very good month, would have been an amazing month, and we'd have been popping out the champagne and the party poppers, and life would have been good. But yeah, no, good. We've got some really good stuff coming on. We're going out to some great vals. You know, the diary hasn't been packed in the last week and a half, which is good in terms of vals. It's just given us a bit more time to get some bits together. So we had a shoot yesterday at a farm on 10 acres. Got a modern sort of gold dusty one on Friday this week. That's going to be sort of 650-ish. I've got a shoot booked in for next week. That's going to be 9. One booked in the week after at 3.5. So yeah, I've got some good stuff booked in. We're obviously completed on the £3 million pounder, so I can stop talking about. But you'll be pleased to know I've just signed up another one at 3.5. So I can carry on talking about that every week. Some say it's fictional, some say it's true, but we will confirm in future. But yeah, no, pretty good all round. Rather than going straight to Ian, I'm going to feel sorry for you, Dave, and I'm going to go to you, mate, because I always feel like you go last.
Thanks, mate.
We normally do that, though, because you talk loads.
Pot kettle black. Right. Yeah, good week. Instructions are really good at the moment. The biggest problem we've had over the last few months, to be quite honest, or the last couple of months, is getting them in a timely manner, because it has been originally, if you remember, we had some crap weather, and it was a case of trying to get everything in and avoid the rain. As soon as it becomes sunny, everybody wants to come on the market straight away. So we've had a couple of days where we've had to do a couple of take-ons in the same day. But yeah, it's been challenging to get both, if I'm honest, valuations and instructions in. So we sat on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in photography at the moment that are due to come on, ranging from a piece of land at 400,000 up to a really lovely, unique home that I did yesterday at 1.6 million that has its own lake and a swimming pool. Very nice. So quite a few in the gold dust range, 1.2 million as well. So instructions and fees, excellent. Sales, I mean, JK, you mentioned there, not amazing at 7 units. I mean, we're the same at the moment, 7 units, but I've got negotiating 4 offers this week. Plus, we've got 3 there to go into the pipeline, I think, today, I'm hoping, by then. So we'll have like a 10-unit month. But to be honest, that's kind of where our business is, high, really good fees and lower volume. But to be honest, 7 to 10 sales a month, I'm happy with that, to be quite frank, where my business is at. I like it. We are scaling up at the moment. I've just taken somebody on, as you know, guys. She starts next week, and she's going to be supporting on valuations, negotiation, client contact, all that sort of stuff. So we are growing, and there's certainly too much, I think, for one. But we're in a very, very strong position. Things are good. And what I'm finding is something that I've been talking about quite regularly on the pods and with the TCA members and yourselves, is I'm finding that the newer stock is being a bit more realistic now, and it's easier to get them on at the right price points. There's the odd anomaly, there's one or two that you just can't convince, and I think we've all had this. You'll go out and do your valuation. I've had one of these this week, where you've been out, you did your valuation weeks or months ago. You send them the proposal, they sign up, you go out, you do all your photos, your video, floor plan, everything, you spend all the time, you're ready to launch, even after a really thorough pre-launch strategy, you're ready to launch, and they want to change the price. Something a bit higher. That's sometimes challenging. I've had one of those this week. But overall, lads, I'm finding that the newer stock that's coming on is a bit more realistic. It's well priced for the market. And as a result of that, is shifting. So it's the older stock that is more challenging, that's perhaps got their life ambitions set on a previous market. And it's just educating that market a little bit. I went to one this week that's been sat on the market for about 9 months. And they've already reduced, to be fair. And even if you look at all the price per square foot data and stuff now, like I said to them just the other day, that if I was coming out to you fresh, I'd never met you in my life, and I was coming to your property today, the numbers that we'd be talking about are not too far from where we're listed at right now, based on all the data. The difference is we know what the behaviour in the market's like, and we now have a lot more experience over the last 6 months about what the actual micro area is like. And this particular area I've mentioned before has been dropping a lot more than not just other areas in Bolton, but Greater Manchester. It's been heavily impacted, but it experienced sharp and very high growth over a short period of time. It's now suffering a little bit, but people only remember the bloody growth. That's the problem. They only remember the growth, and when they came on the market, they'd set all their ambitions based on certain figures that they feel that they can't go below now. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. As we wrote in the letter that we've sent out to our members and obviously to our target audience, the market doesn't care what your ambitions are. They don't care. It doesn't care what your plans are. It only cares what the market does, and you can't control that. So, yeah, it's been overall, like I say, I can't complain. It's been good so far all year. Very consistent. Valuation numbers are great. So yeah, all good. What about you, Ian?
Also good, mate. Yeah, we've had a really good run on listings. Mainly Matt and Vicky rather than myself. I'm doing a bit less on the listing side than I was, but so therefore they're doing more, which is good. And they've had, I think 5 so far given us the go ahead this week, and they're sort of between 600, 500 and 1.2, all full fees, upfronts and 2%. Some fantastic shoots we've been doing recently. The weather is shit today, and we had a shoot booked that's rearranged, but we've had some absolutely superb shoots. We put on the market last night 6 absolute beauties, really, really nice houses ranging from 600 to 2 million. Did you lads say you've done 7 sales?
Actually 8. How many have you done?
8.1.
We've done 9 sales.
So far in July, 11 sales, and there's 3 other offers live that Phil is negging as we speak. I also wanted to mention to people that I think, especially for your higher end stock, I mean, really for any stock, but in particular the higher end ones that are harder to sell, agreeing sales to people who can't proceed is definitely the way forward in this market. We've got one currently that was on with another agent at 1.75, too expensive. We brought it on at 1.5 about 3 months ago. It's near an A road. It's had really good interest, but it is near an A road, and that's been a lot of the feedback. But we've just basically today, Phil's agreed a sale at 1.5. The guy's got a house to sell. The guy's given us his house to sell. It's a gold dust 750, should fly, desirable village. So I'd be definitely encouraging people to agree. Obviously, I don't mean take it off the market and issue a memo, but verbally get people tied in is very important. Dave,
just on that as well, Ian, have you agreed a grace period for that?
Not on
No.
that one. We would do on some. If it's been on the market 3-4 months, then yeah, I'd absolutely agree a grace period. Get it off Rightmove for 7 weeks. But no, we haven't on that one. He hasn't asked for it so far anyway, so I don't think that's what we're going to be doing. But that's a great way to get yourself some future sales bagged, I think, and it really impresses the seller. We've had a good run on banked fees, finally. We had an awful Q1 cash flow, but it's been strong in the last couple of months, so that's really bounced back. We've had a really good touch yesterday. So I agreed a sale on a £2 million house in February to a chain-free buyer, and the seller just has not been able to find anywhere since February. It's now August, but the house is beautiful, and the buyer was just so keen to secure it. He's held on and held on and held on for them, and they found somewhere yesterday, a chain-free house to buy. Thank God. So that's although it's been in the pipeline, it really now feels like it is in the pipe, and that's a 2 million on full fees. So that was a good touch yesterday. Our Knutsford office is now sort of officially kicking off. So Matt is basing himself from the Knutsford office 1-2 days a week now. He's targeting stock that's on with other agents that we think we can get hold of. So we're really putting a bit of focus into the Knutsford office now, which Matt is enjoying. And we're starting to do lettings and mortgages. So we've got a mortgage partner who we're working with. That's really going well now. We're getting a good amount of leads over to him per week, and that will become sort of an official business joint in a couple of months' time, hopefully. And then we're also going to start doing mid to high end lettings, which Aidan's involved with. So we're sort of putting all the steps in place at the moment for that, and then we're going to grow that as well. And we picked up our first fully managed let at 13.5% mid to higher end property, fully managed a couple of weeks ago. So that's good as well. So really, things feel in a good place. Val's in the last week slightly down. The team are focused on it. Ultimately, it's summer holidays, isn't it? So you'd expect it to be a little bit lower. And our socials are flying, absolutely flying. The amount of inquiries we're getting has been brilliant. I've got this idea that I call the pre-launch, where
You're welcome.
Mate, that is brilliant. I just want to say, Ian, thank you so much for that idea, mate. That was brilliant. It's worked really, really well.
You're both welcome.
But on a serious note, thanks, Dave, because that's working really, really well. And we're getting consistent with that now, and it's paying dividends. Not only getting inquiries before they launch on Rightmove, looks so impressive to the seller, but really, really good for your brand locally. The buyers are seeing you doing all this sort of work, not just sticking on Rightmove and hoping for the best. So things are in a good place, chaps. I think things are in a pretty good place. Yeah.
I do think we're just touching on that point before about houses to sell and people viewing with houses to sell. Again, some homeowners don't like it, but you've really got to work on them. I mean, I think that if it is just somebody that repetitively views houses with you and they're just not taking anything seriously, they won't book a val. I understand that, but if they are having their home valued and they are serious about moving, should they find the right ones? There's some people that there's no amount of convincing or getting to on the market without finding something. They just have to find the right house. But we've done. We've got an off-market chain going through that's worth like 50 to 60,000 to the company from doing that.
Aren't we?
Yeah, yes, you are. Yeah,
we're in that chain, aren't we? Yeah,
you're in that chain. Yeah, and that's from doing that sort of thing. And we agreed a sale on one. We've agreed 2 sales actually last week, previous pod, but that came from a lady who viewed it and had a house to sell, reluctant to offer until she got clarity that they would seriously consider it. And I went back to the homeowner. I said, she has got a really saleable home. I've valued it. It's great. We got a market ready. I said, it's a no-brainer for me, and we did it. And she is the buyer. She is the buyer. We sold her house in a week. You just got
to educate your clients correctly, because so many of them think the right thing to do is to not let anyone view that can't proceed, but they're just wrong. But it's obviously not their fault. I appreciate they've not been educated correctly as to why it's the right thing to do. We list in our marketing plan, we list properties that we've sold that are now completed sales. That when the buyer viewed, they couldn't proceed, and they ended up being the buyer. So we're not in the market where you can be overly picky. Of course, you don't want time wasters. You don't want people who are unrealistic, and on the higher end, you want proof of funds before they view and all that sort of stuff. But it is a no-brainer. You've got to educate the client correctly, and then eventually they'll see why it's the right thing to do.
I think a good pre-launch helps with that as well, because again, we've had, you get it on both sides of the scale, don't you? We had a property the other week where I think the initial pre-launch video had about 100,000 views, really amazing feedback. And we had something like 10 or 11 viewings lined up to see it. It's not in Rightmove at this point. So at that point, you go through it and go, right, who wants to see this house? Well, there's 11 people. 6 of them are all chain-free and ready to go. 5 of them are not ready. They've got houses to sell. They've not had a valuation. In that situation, you go, well, listen, to the guys that have got places to sell, at the moment, we might not be able to get you through the door, but let's get you valued. Let's get you valued quick to see if we can get you there. And then I think on the flip side of that, we had another one where we did the pre-launch and the number was nowhere near what people were expecting. So we had that conversation with the owners. They changed the price before it went to Rightmove, but there was a lack of interest there. And that is the house that's just sold to someone with a house to sell, who at that point wasn't on the market. So it is about educating your market and just having those positive conversations. You can't be picky. In COVID, it was like, if you've got a house to sell, forget it.
Also, Dave, on some properties, even now you put some on and you get 10, 20 viewings, don't you? But you do still get that. And obviously on those ones, you wouldn't do that. But a lot of stuff, especially when you're selling mid to higher end, unique one-off homes, certainly ones that are sort of north of a mil, generally less buyers, you need to be thinking a bit differently. But being firm and educative, that's not a word, with your seller is very important.
And also, I think on the flip side of that, it's a great opportunity to educate the buying market, to say that houses like this, when they come up, they don't hang around and you're going to have competition, and put yourself in the shoes of the seller. What would you rather be dealing with? You, who has a house to sell, or him over there who's chain free? Get yourself market ready. Use these opportunities. Especially now,
a great example,
market ready.
A great example of getting people in is this. So we've got a house that we weren't sure really whether it was offers over 750 or offers over 800. It's a lovely house, but it needs a lot of work. I was saying to the seller, really, I think offers over 750 is more realistic when you look at the market, blah, blah, blah. But we had this person that wanted to view it off our socials. We got them in. They offered 820. And we wasn't on Rightmove then. So I said to the seller, proceed with them. Don't put it on Rightmove. Let's see where we can go with them. He was like, oh, I'm not sure. Maybe I should open it up to the whole market. And, are there any other buyers that might pay more? And I said, well, John, really, it does look, when you look at the data, like this is a really good price. Anyway, we proceeded with that party. They had a house to sell. They ended up not being able to sell that house. So the deal fell through. But my point is, it's gone on the market and hasn't got as high as 820. So it's really shown the seller that I was right to try and go with those people at the start because it was such a good offer.
Well, do you know what? You're right. It's a great example of that, because if he had opened it up to the competition and it fell flat on its arse at that point, then the buyers all of a sudden get the leverage.
Yeah,
I've got a house at the moment. It's on at 1.5. It's a tricky sale because of the circumstances of the owners. Now, the guy came in. He's a really savvy businessman, an excellent negotiator. He's been very. It's been challenging to deal with him in a positive way. We've had some good back and forth. I've enjoyed it.
I know the
time. And we talk quite candidly. Now he offered 1.3, and he sat on 1.3 for weeks, but he kept in touch with me all the time, and he wanted to know, because we had a purple patch of activity. I got another offer in at 1.1. There was another offer in at 1.3. And he just kept holding out and playing it, asking the right questions, trying to chuck furniture in, taking his time. I'd already verified his funds, and he was like sort of saying, I need to go and have a look at this, Dave, speak to my financial advisor and all that sort of stuff. He took his time. And what he did was used the market to his advantage to say, I'm going to wait and see what everybody else does before I show my hand. And he played it really, really well. And it's the same, and he's going to get that property probably for 1.4. He's the only person in the running now. And if he may or may not walk away, but if he does, then they're left with no one. If he gets it 1.4, I suspect he'll be quite happy. But it's one of those where, again, he's used the market to his advantage. If that was before Rightmove, I think that, and it had been opened up to loads and loads of buyers and nobody had come in, he would have gone, well, my offer's 1.3, 1.35. It's the fact that we had that purple patch that was able to get him to 1.4. So I totally agree with you. I think if you get something very strong like that and it's beyond the market data, deal, basically. Educate.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't work out, you've still got the upper hand. There's other examples I could give you along the same sort of lines, but I think you as the agent you show yourself in a good light to the seller, because trying to go with that person at that price was the right thing to do, because there's no one else anywhere near 820 now. So it sort of backs up what you're saying.
One of the downsides to that is, well, we had 820 in, when the 760 comes in.
Of course, but I think if you manage that correctly.
Yeah, it's true. No, you're right. I mean, we've had it on both ends of the market. We had a We Locate one, which is, we've sold it once at 350. We've sold it once at 340. Both sales fell through, unfortunately. He's now on offers over 300 and struggling for viewings. And there's another one that we've got at 750. We sold it first week, 725. Buyer pulled out. Sold it again at 735. Buyer pulled out. And then it's sat on the market at 750, and he can't reduce to like his offers over 700. He's like, but we've had 735, we've had 725. I'm like, I know, but it's not. The market's moved. It's not real until it's gone through. So it can backfire a little bit sometimes, but at the same time, you've just got to, like I say, you've just got to be educating your market on what's actually happening. And it's so fast paced. And in fact, we had it in the group this week, didn't we? In the TCA group. Obviously, we've done the quarterly letter. It's all based at that point on the June house price index data, because Q1, Q2, so it's a Q2 update. We've obviously marked at what point the data was applicable, but then you send out 9,000 letters based on that data. The day you send them out, all the data changes. It's so fast paced. Like on the mortgage market, changed because there's rumours of an interest rate hike. So the banks have, pushed their rates up a little bit. So all of a sudden, your positive outlook on the mortgage market might not look as positive by the time the letter lands. But that's just the way the market is. It's so fast paced, particularly from a mortgage point of view, and with everything going on in the economy and in the world events. It swings and roundabouts. Sometimes it's going to be incredibly positive. Sometimes it's going to be negative. But the one thing that it isn't, which we touched on last week, is it's not a bad market, is it? There's buyers out there for well-presented homes and the right priced homes, and all the data, all the commentary backs that up. And that's ultimately what you've got to do, educate your market.
It's a transitional market. I had mentioned I was with Gatesy last night. I went to London to see a guy called Roy Sutherland speak.
You were out last night. It's all making sense.
I didn't drink. You know me, I don't really drink. So that's not why I look dishevelled. I just haven't done my hair yet.
He's been drinking, and he's got stitches. Have you noticed?
Yeah. So anyway, there's a guy called Roy Sutherland. He wrote a book called Alchemy, and apparently Gatesy's got a signed copy. And we went to go and see him speak last night in London, and it was a good event, to be fair. We learned a lot about. So there's different things that apply to different industries that are also applicable. So like they were saying, the NHS, a quote for people in the NHS was, they hate how things are, but they also hate change. And I think that's also applicable to the estate agency industry for sure. There was a funny anecdote about health and safety, and how there are like 135 work-related accidents a year. Something like, I think it was like five people every year die from dishwasher-related deaths. So you know how like when people load the dishwasher and they've got one of them cutlery drawers at the bottom, and they stack it with their knives up because they think their knives are going to get cleaner if they're facing upwards. Apparently 5 people a year are killed in dishwasher-related industries. And I was keen to point out to Gatesy, and I sent him the video this morning, I actually invested in a dishwasher that has one of those pull-out cutlery drawers at the top.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
So I just thought, me being an amazing person that I am, I just thought I'd get it out there. And
I don't want to make you too jealous, but I've got 2 dishwashers.
And that was another thing that came up. So talk to me, just quickly, talk to me through the science of coming through 2 dishwashers.
Valued the house early on in the company 6 years ago. Sold it, actually, and valued it. Lovely house. and they'd done a mint kitchen and it had 2 dishwashers. I was like, fucking hell, that's a nice idea. Family, loads of washing up, obviously, all the time. So the last 2 houses that we've done, we put 2 in. The last house, we only had space for a slimline and a big one. This house that we've just done with 2 full-size ones, game changer, because they are full all the time. Twice a day, they're both on twice a day constant. So you've never got any dirty washing on the side in the kitchen. And I'm a bit fastidious about the kitchen. Me and Dave have spoken about it a few times. I like the kitchen work service to be superb all the time. So I've got like a lovely cloth, one of those ones with the absorbent, where you can wipe it and it's sort of a bit like a chamois leather.
Yeah.
So I love the kitchen looking mint, and 2 dishwashers. I think it's a no-brainer. You're going to tell me something different now.
No, I'm not. No. Just
okay.
It came up because Rory Sutherland really wants 2 dishwashers, but his wife won't let him.
When you're doing a kitchen, maybe a kitchen's like 30, 35 grand or whatever. A dishwasher's 400 quid.
Yeah.
So and nothing, really.
There's always one dishwasher that's clean that you can use and it's stored, and one for dirty, and then vice versa.
Brilliant.
Like game changing idea.
Yeah.
What made me think of that was I was going to mention that, but B, when we were on the train, we were talking about interest rates, and Gatesy said something interesting about how for every % of mortgage rate goes up for like your average first time buyer or your average buyer, it affects their affordability by 10%.
Wow.
Repeat that.
Yeah.
So for every % on the mortgage, it affects the buyer affordability by up to 10%.
Wow.
So somebody viewing a house at, let's say, 310, goes on the market at 310 when a house is worth 300 in the beginning. Nobody views it, nobody buys it. Mortgage rate goes up in 4 weeks by 1%. That 310 house is now a 280 house. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit like that analogy of chasing the heavy ball downhill, isn't it? If you don't price in the market at the time. And I think the house has got to be, to get the money, because I think buyers, if they're affected by, let's say, that sort of level by 1%, that can be 150 quid a month, something like that, 200 quid a month. The house has got to be really good for them to justify. If they've been in the market, because we have a saying, don't we? It's not how long your house has been on the market, it's how long your buyer's been in the market. And if your buyer's been in the market for that time, they've viewed the house, and then they're now to the tune of £150 down a month, £200 a month down, based on what they saw previously. There's either got to be a change in the price, or your house has got to be bloody good for them to swallow that 150 quid. So I just think that there's always a conversation to be had around pricing correctly early, because if you get the price wrong, you could, classic example, pre-launch strategy, something that I implemented and came up with myself. We had a house that's in the gold dust range. Data kind of suggested it would be anywhere between 450 and 475. And we sort of punted it out on Facebook at 475, no takers. Everyone said it was too much money. Had a chat with the sellers, did offers over 450, got 13 people around back to back on a Friday afternoon, and sold it at 475. So that again, it's that buyer psychology. How, we all know if we'd have launched at 475, the chances are the viewers may not have come through the door, that have made the offers at 460, 465. And if it didn't go anywhere at that sort of level, then the next sort of logical step is to get onto a next price band at 450. But by then, you're already on the market, and you're already, nobody else wanted to pay 475 for it. So why am I going to pay 475 for it if it's now offers over 450?
Again, you're using a real life example there, JK. So just to sidestep a little bit for people wanting to try and get reductions or get property at the right price, there is nothing more powerful than real life situations. We've had one really similar. It's been sat on the market for £850,000. Funnily enough, it was what I described before. It'd been on at this price previously with a premium agent, one of the big ones, and it had no interest whatsoever. And when I went around and spoke to them about it, I said it needs to be probably 800, like at the top end, really. It was all fine. And then when we'd done everything, he decided, look, spoken to my mum, it was her house, she really wants to try and get it at 850. And right, great. And the classic, we're not in a rush type people. So it's gone on the market at 850,000 in not 4 or 6 months, in 4 months. It's not had a single viewing, not one. And they just sat and sat and sat and sat. Eventually, they agreed to come down to offers in excess of 800. This week, we have just agreed an offer at 825, which is phenomenal. They could not get a viewing at 850. And people who say to you, like, well, they'd view it. People would view it anyway, and they'll make an offer if they really want it.
Not true.
Not if they can't see it, John. Not if they can't see it. Yeah. So sometimes it's about bringing it into a different price bracket and making it work. And for this particular family, that price bracket was £800,000. 800 was the top end of the budget. Top end. They would not have seen this house if it had been on at 850. They saw it from the reduction at 800. The reason we've agreed 825 is because the owners are including some furniture and stuff like that. So there was something to be done. There was something to be done there. We were able to negotiate. But to get to 825, and they couldn't get a viewing in 4 months from 850. And, I've got quite a few examples, and I've said it before on the pod, and we've talked about it as well. But I think even using some examples of where your houses are not selling and being completely honest about it is powerful. We've agreed sales in the last sort of 3 months where the prices are nowhere near where we started. And it's no one's fault. It's just that the market has changed considerably. We followed the data. The price per square foot was right. We've looked at what happened since they bought it and now what it should be worth. We all agreed the same. The vendors were realistic compared, to the market conditions. Unfortunately, it's just not panned out that way. But we've worked on these particular houses. We've worked with the homeowners that have, understand that and are working with the market conditions. They've eventually sold. And, we had one at 850 that was agreed at 760 a couple of weeks ago. So to be able to use that story and say, I've got a client round the corner. His house started life at 850. It's been on the market for 9 months. He's had 10 viewings and sold at 760. And he only sold at 760 because we generated competition from a 750 offers over asking price. Now, it's quite powerful. You can save 9 months by looking at 2 or 3 of these test cases that I've got in your area and going to the market strong at a sensible level. Yes, we can test the market, for 5 to 10% above what you think it might be worth. But are we just going to be wasting time like John did over here, like Kevin did over here, like Sandra did over here, whatever? It's so important you get that right price point. And I think that test cases and real life scenarios are the way to go. And me and you spoke about this briefly yesterday, Ian, but that, the £1 million analogy, or can we go on at $1,050,000 because it is worth that? The flip side of it is, when homeowners say, yeah, but if you go on at offers over $1 million, they'll offer me 850 and 900. They'll give me stupid offers. Of course they will. And you've just got to manage that expectation and condition your homeowner and say, ultimately that's what it's definitely coming. No matter what I tell them, you'll get the odd 1 or 2 that will offer you something derisory. We just get rid of them. But let's look at the flip side. If you're into a new bracket of buyers, those buyers that see it, who are at the top end of their budget and don't think they have a penny more than $1 million, if they go and see it and fall in love with it, I promise you they will beg, steal and borrow to find that additional 25, 30, 40, 50. And we want those buyers. We want them. Ultimately, we want eyeballs on this property. We want to cast the net as wide as possible. So pricing point is so important.
Where do I sign, Dave?
Sign here, Ian. Sign here. For everybody who's listening, I've just shown Ian a contract that signs him up at 2% plus VAT for his house that's worth $4.2 million.
Talking about contracts, we had an interesting situation this week that still isn't really resolved. And I know you and me touched on it last night, getting frustrated with sellers who just think that you'll do it for free and you'll bend over backwards. Vic got a great listing last week, offers over 900,000. Really nice. It's a grade 2 listed, lovely old house with a big plot, nice village, blah, blah, blah. Sellers were a bit odd, if we're being honest. They were a bit hard work. Anyway, they said they're going to go ahead. Paid the marketing fee. Fine, no problem. $750 plus VAT. We've booked in home staging company because it's empty. So go and give them a quote. 2 of those this week. And they spoke to Vicky earlier in the week and said, we've read your contract. We noticed that you've got a clause which covers any buyers coming back up to 6 months after the end of your term. If you could remove that, we'll sign. So I rang them and spoke to them. It was hard to get hold of her. Anyway, spoke to her. And I've explained, look, John, she's not called John. Look, John, we need a clause in there because we might introduce a buyer on the last day of the contract. You terminate it. A day later, that buyer might come back, or a month later, or a week later. And if we've shown them around and we've introduced them to the house and we've generated the buyer, then our fee's due. And every other agent you go to will be happy with that situation. They'll understand the situation. They'll be very used to it. We'll give them a list of names. Promise you, every agent will know that. And they just wouldn't have it. She wouldn't. It's so hard. You feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall. And I sort of left it with her. And she was going to speak to her husband and come back to me. And she's not really. And maybe that's an extreme case. But it's just so frustrating when, they do. Some people do treat you like you're doing it for free.
I think we're in that industry. And
yeah.
Do you know what? That we probably, we've as an industry, we've made that problem ourselves.
Yeah, of course. Not charging up front fees is a massive thing, isn't it? People get used to it.
Race to the bottom on fees.
Yeah.
Not differentiating yourself. I think you can put estate agents up there with snake oil car salesmen, things like that, can't you?
Yeah.
You've probably got a list of people that people hate. You've got terrorists, bankers, thieves, estate agents. They're in there.
Yeah.
But I think we've protected ourselves somewhat from some of these stupid scenarios, and I think when you get our contracts are quite robust now. It covers all the stuff like that, and if anybody flags anything, I immediately think, well, red flag. What are you actually going to be like long term? What are you going to be like in this relationship? We've had a couple of those quite recently, to be honest with you. One after we'd already started the marketing, where it's a case of somebody else wants to come and view the property that viewed it with someone else 6 months ago, but didn't actually make an offer. And I know, but at the end of the day, we've done all the work, and they come back and we renegotiate. They've come back on the back of the video, the marketing, all that sort of stuff. It's really clear in the contract, but then when it actually happens,
of course, it's different.
What? And then, similarly, prior to going to the market, agree to come to the market, read the terms, and then question a few things about, what if I introduce my own buyer? How does that work?
Yeah.
What you mean after we're already on Rightmove and we're already on social media, we've already done a video and done all the photos, and that's not influenced them one bit, It's just that kind of thing, and they want to try and wriggle out of it. And I just think that those are major red flags. And to be quite frank, we just don't need it. We just walk away. Just walk away. I'd rather be comfortable in the relationship with the client. And I think that, like I say, as an industry, I think we've probably caused that. And it's, people like ourselves and other good agents looking to get upfront fees and command higher fees and do a great job that are changing that slowly but surely.
Yeah, indeed. Okay. Probably reasonable time to wrap up, Dave, but what does the rest of your week look like? You got vals today? Shoots?
I have a couple of vals today. I have 3 tomorrow. I try and keep my weekends free now, Ian, so I'm not doing anything on weekends, which is great. I've got one. In fact, next weekend I've got a bit of work to do next weekend in terms of valuations, but that'll be the first one, I think, I can remember for a long time where I've actually had to physically be in work. Probably like yourself, I like to do a little bit at home in the mornings just to make sure everything's all right, get my week set up, review my week, get my week set up for the following week. But apart from that, not much. But valuations, 2 today, 3 tomorrow. I've got something new starting next week, so looking forward to that. But busy. And then I've got a holiday in a couple of weeks, which I'm looking forward to. What about you?
We've got a full day in the office today. We're doing a team meeting this afternoon with all the creative team to work out what we're going to do moving forward and what the sort of results are that we want out of it. So Max is going to be leading that. We're going to create like a stories creative funnel for each bit of the business that we want to focus on creatively. Tonight, Martha's in a dance show, so I'm going to go and watch that.
Love that.
And then tomorrow we're going to Chester Zoo.
Oh, mate, love that.
So I'm going to spot if I can see any animals that look like you, and I'll send you some photographs.
We actually discussed that before we came on air, and there's lots of them. So maybe share them in the next week's pod.
Okay. All right, deal. Cool.
Right, good place to call it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next week.
Bye.